Join us as we continue our Belfast series by exploring the Causeway coastal route, where we brave the heights of the Carrick-a-Rede rope bridge and the crowds of the Giant's Causeway. But by self-driving our own itinerary over a said excursion, we were able to fit in extra stops such as the Dark Hedges and Dunluce Castle, some of the many locations made famous by Game of Thrones, and ending at the clifftop estate at the Mussenden Temple. So how much did we cram in one day? Come with us to find out. So you join us as we check out of Malmaison, Belfast. Early start this morning, checked out of the hotel and had to go back up to the airport, only a short 5-10 minute ride, just to get a car because there's no city centre car hire locations open this early on a Sunday morning. And the reason we are leaving this early is so we can go to the Causeway Coast. So I have Her Ladyship, the passenger princess, in here, snacks, and we are off. Make sure you check out our previous episode of our stay at Malmaison, Belfast, in an incredible loft suite complete with pool table, and our guide to Belfast city centre. Early Sunday morning, 9 a.m.
Yep.
Thought we'd get here to Dark Hedges first because we wanted to beat the crowds, and it is the winter, and we're at the car park, and I think we've successfully achieved that. We're literally the only ones here. We'll put links in the description as always, but there is a hotel and golf course on the estate where you can park for a small nominal fee. Cafe there, it's not open at this time of the morning, and past this country house, and all you do is you keep on this path, and there behind me is the Dark Hedges, but the road is actually restricted to traffic only for access, so don't expect to be able to drive down there and film. Got to go on foot. Originally 150 beech trees were planted as an avenue to the Grace Hill estate that we passed, of which about half now remain. And the Dark Hedges has become famous as a filming location in the Game of Thrones series as the road to King's Landing. And of the trees that have been lost, these have been carved into themed Door of Thrones, decorating pubs in filming locations. So we had been warned before we came that some of the trees had been recently damaged in storms, and a lot of them had come down, but I am pleased to say I think that's still looking pretty spectacular. And the early start certainly paid off, as all too soon many other visitors began to arrive. And in our plan to avoid the crowds, our next stop was Carrick-a-Rede rope bridge, bang on opening time. Being only 8 miles or a 15 to 20 minute drive from the Dark Hedges, this meant we could visit 2 of the most popular sites on the Causeway Coast back to back, first thing in the morning before the crowds descended. Given the site's limited capacity, you do need to book time slots in advance and remember to factor in this 1 kilometre walk to the bridge. Found something for you.
Yeah, do you need? I might need that.
I think you might do at this rate. And once again, getting here early really paid off, as managed to get straight over and with no one in camera shot. What's it like?
Cool.
It'll start to bounce because I'm on it. Stop bouncing it! Originally used by salmon fishermen, this place would not have been for the faint-hearted. Oh, I don't think that's a bad thing, because that doesn't look particularly too sturdy. We'll put links in the description as always, but booking in advance is absolutely essential. With adult pricing between £14 and £16 sterling, or 18 to 20 US dollars. That also includes parking. So we actually booked the first slot of the morning, and I'm certainly glad we did, because you can begin to see already crowds are building here. So if you come to the Causeway Coast, it's a natural flow to do it that way. But I would start at the Dark Hedges early doors and then get here for the first slot of the morning. And then obviously Giant's Causeway is a big place, so you should be able to take the crowds. But again, it is also February and mad ones are being out here in this weather. So aside from the number of visitors they can limit to the island at one time, as it gets busier, the bridge has to start operating a one-way system, letting groups on and off the island in turn, which means getting that perfect picture will be a little bit more hurried and challenging. So, as our advice, make sure you're here first thing in the morning. So, Carrick-a-Rede rope bridge done. Feeling very, very adventurous. A little bit bouncy going over, but very, very worth it. And luckily the weather was on our side. I dread to think going across that in a hoolie would be a whole different ball game. So after the short walk back and a convenient pit stop at their restrooms and cafe, it was time to head to our next stop, which was literally just around the corner. Almost immediately after leaving Carrick-a-Rede, you will pass through Ballintoy village. A good stop off for lunch if you're here later in the day, at the Fullerton Arms with its replica Iron Throne. But we instead were looking for a more authentic Game of Thrones experience. So, literally round the corner from Carrick-a-Rede, you'll come to Ballintoy village and take the turn into Ballintoy Harbour. It's a bit twisty-turny, fine for cars though, and it'll bring you down to here, which is Ballintoy Harbour, which was scene of Game of Thrones for the Iron Islands. But to be fair, this was a very quick detour, and if you are not a Game of Thrones fan, can be easily omitted from this itinerary. So continuing along the coastal road, we actually pass by the Giant's Causeway, which we will double back to, so we can take in another sight and a bite to eat first. So, stopping off on the Causeway Coast, we've stopped at Bushmills and the Bushmills distillery, which is actually the oldest distillery in Northern Ireland. However, this place is very easy to come by if you're on the Causeway Coast. However, as it is the winter, even though it is a weekend, it's completely closed down. But if you're here during the lovely summer months, this would definitely be a great stop off. But we will also show in our videos another great option if you're staying more central in Belfast for another distillery you can also come and visit as well. Actually closed for renovations, being the oldest licensed whisky distillery in the world at over 400 years old, was probably a little overdue. We instead opted to take the short drive down into the picturesque Port Ballintoy Harbour and a much needed bite to eat at the Bayview Hotel before heading to the Giant's Causeway. We'll put links in the description as always to all of the dining options we referenced, but if we had been looking to treat ourselves, we'd spotted the Gray's Hotel and Brasserie, conveniently on the junction on the road to the Giant's Causeway, which is where we were now headed. So one big debate about the Giant's Causeway is, do you pay to come to the visitor centre? Because at the end of the day, you're here to see the causeway. The visitor centre is nice to do. It's not going to take you very long. You're really paying for premium parking, and effectively it's £13.50 to £15.50. There is also the Causeway Hotel here, but what we are seeing is obviously a lot of people from down below us here. There's a number of buildings with car parks that evidently are probably doing it at a cheaper rate, and the people are just parking up there and just walking straight in as well. So each to their own. Now, we really only included the visitor centre to highlight the experience, and may be worthwhile if you'd like more background to this World Heritage site or have young kids to entertain. Plus, aside from access to the visitor centre and the preferred parking, you also get audio guides and also guided tours included as well. Though realistically it did appear that the majority of visitors were bypassing this experience, walking straight through the underpass and down the road to the causeway itself. And then this is your reality. And despite the crowds, we're able to locate one of our guides who gave us the colourful ritual behind the wishing chair.
5 o'clock. There's a picture of it on the first bench over there. It looks exactly like an armchair. If you want to make a wish, simplicity itself. Go out there, you sit down, you close your eyes, you make your wish.
This also included a lot of bottom wiggling and stroking of rocks in a very particular order. However, given it was the middle of the afternoon and the volume of visitors, it was frankly a bit of a bum fight for the most popular spots on the causeway. So it's worth noting that with any set excursions and set travel times, You're generally going to arrive at these most popular sites when the crowds are at their heaviest. So, if unlike ourselves you don't plan to do Carrick-a-Rede rope bridge, it may be a good option to start with the Giant's Causeway as early as possible in the morning and then fit any other excursions in afterwards. Now, one aspect that we did find a bit weird with the visitor experience, you pay that premium of coming in when you can come in for free. Yes, you get the visitor centre, all of that, but this bus goes up and down and you get a little wristband and everything else. But if you pay the premium, you still have to pay to get on the bus. It's only £1 each way, but it's worth it. But yeah, did find that a little bit strange. But on a positive note, well, you know, so premium parking, you get much more premium. That's our car right there. And having the flexibility of the car now really paid off. We still had some time to fit in some extra sites while we had daylight left. Fortunately, Dunluce Castle sits just the other side of Bushmills to the Giant's Causeway, close to where we had lunch. So with just a short drive we were able to get here within the last hour of closing. At the front gate and ticket office there is a small exhibition giving the history to this incredibly picturesque castle and walled town. However, given it was the winter months and knew that the sun would be setting early, we skipped the historical exhibits so we could focus on exploring the castle itself. Dating back to the 16th and 17th century, what it lacks in the completeness of structure it certainly makes up for in location and setting. So literally made it here by the skin of our teeth, packing everything in. We got here to Dunluce Castle about 15 minutes before closing, but they're still letting us in, no problem. And glad we came because it's fantastic. This, as you might recognise, is yet another one from Game of Thrones, and this was Castle Pike from the House of Greyjoy. So we have been exceptionally lucky with the weather considering it's February. It's had a little bit of drizzle at lunchtime, went for a spot of lunch then, and apart from that we've been great all day. But the coastline here on the Causeway Coast is absolutely phenomenal, and it's definitely given us the taste for trying to do a trip down the Wild Atlantic Way on the west coast of Ireland, so keep your eyes open for that one coming soon. So if you're enjoying this video, please make sure you check out our Belfast series, where in our previous episode we explored the highlights of Belfast city centre and our stay at the Malmaison Hotel, where we were able to secure an incredible room at a bargain price. Plus in our upcoming episodes we will also explore the Titanic Quarter, not just visiting the exhibition but staying at the Titanic Hotel itself. And for those of you enjoying the Game of Thrones references, we also visit the Game of Thrones studio tour. But most importantly, we please ask that you hit that like and subscribe buttons. It really goes a long way in helping support this channel and for us to bring you even more content like this in the future. You might just be able to make out there, over on the headland, there's also a viewing platform that you can look back at the castle from. We're going to try and take that in on our way back. Enough culture for the day?
Yep, and I've done in.
Done in? Done in at Dunluce? Is that the name? Keep pronouncing it wrong. Dunluce. Now, if visiting castles is not your thing, you just want to save some money, or you're just really tight for time like we were, just a few hundred yards down from Dunluce Castle, you will find Magher Cross Viewpoint and Park. And it was in this direction we still had one more site we really wanted to tick off our list. But with the light fading and unsure if we would actually gain entry, we decided to push on regardless. So after a drive of 17 miles and 30 minutes, we parked at a lay-by by these gates, though should have really gone to the car park further up if we'd been arriving in the daytime hours. Though parking here this late still gave us access to the grounds and the headland we had come to see. And even the fading light only helped add to the eerie ambience of this site. Downhill Demesne, as it's pronounced, I will never understand the Irish language, was a majestic stately home from the 18th century. Although now sits in ruins, can only imagine how it must have looked back in its prime, perched on top this prominent headland. However, you need to continue through the stately home out towards the cliff edge to find the true highlight of this incredible site. It's absolutely outstanding. We're literally sitting right on the top of this headland, the most prominent spot, this incredible grandeur house. It's absolute ruin, it really is. There's like literally just the walls here now, but in its heyday must have been absolutely phenomenal. But then literally as you come pan round and see the view of the headland, there is just the one little temple all sat out on the cliff by itself. Bizarrely, despite its name and distance from the main house, the building was in fact a library. So finally made it out all the way to the edge of the headland, to the actual temple itself. Absolutely amazing views all the way around. But looking up here, look how far it actually is from the actual main house itself. Now you do have two options to see the temple. I came up top to the house, which I think is the best way to do it, because you get to see it on the cliff top in all its glory. But a lot of people do go down here from the beach and actually take a look as well. But there is also a railway line down the bottom there, so just beware that that might pop in your pictures a bit. And what a fitting finale to end our day on the Causeway Coast. And despite being somewhat of an adventurous itinerary, managed to squeeze in everything we wanted to see. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to watch the rest of our Belfast series, or enjoy one of our many other destination videos. But for now, thanks for watching and see you again soon.